He would love nothing more than to divide our country based on race, religion, gender, orientation, or immigration status. Because this is the only way he knows he can prevent the solidarity of us working together across all of our differences.
You know, it's really quite interesting how people have tried to manipulate people and how to intimidate people and change their minds. This has been going on since we've been in America. You know, you go back to the days of slavery.
Look, it doesn't matter where you stand politically, left, right, center, whatever. If you don't toe the line, if you don't swallow the mainstream narrative whole, you get attacked. And nobody knows that better than Ben Carson. You've got people in Congress, like Ilhan Omar, spending all their time screaming about oppression and racism. But then here's Dr. Carson, a guy who actually lived through real poverty, who rose up to become a world-renowned neurosurgeon, standing tall and saying, "No, I'm not a victim." That drives them absolutely crazy. It drives the left insane. They cannot handle a free-thinking black conservative because it shatters their entire worldview. Unbelievable. They want you to believe that if you're a minority, you have to vote a certain way, think a certain way. Dr. Carson blows that idea to pieces in about 2 minutes flat. He breaks out the house slave versus field slave dynamic, and let me tell you, it fits the Democratic Party like a glove right now. Give me a break. Let's watch the clip, and then I'll break down exactly why Ilhan Omar and her crew are so damn terrified of this message.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your courage to be here, because in the society that we live in today, it takes a lot of courage to say that you're supporting President Trump. And, you know, it's really quite interesting how people have tried to manipulate people and how to intimidate people and change their minds. This has been going on since we've been in America. You know, you go back to the days of slavery, you know, and in a lot of the states there were more slaves than there were owners. So what did they do? They had to divide the slaves. So they told the ones in the house, "You're better than the ones in the yard. And the ones in the yard, you're better than the ones in the field." And then after slavery was over, the light-skinned ones, "You're better than the dark-skinned ones." And on it went, trying to divide people. Today, they say, if you are a conservative, then you are somehow an Uncle Tom, you're a horrible person, you're a demon. What a bunch of crap, you know, but, you know, it's been going on for hundreds of years. And it's really time to put a stop to it. So I am very happy to see that you have the courage to come out. You know, it doesn't bother me anymore because, you know, I only worry about what God thinks. I don't worry about what these other people think. But, you know, sometimes people ask me, "What happened to you? You changed." I haven't changed. I changed about 35 years ago because, you see, I grew up in Detroit, a bastion of liberalism. They call it progressivism now. They keep changing the name. But anyway, then from there to Boston, a bastion of liberalism. Back to Detroit, and then to New Haven, Connecticut, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Ann Arbor, Michigan, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Baltimore, Maryland, a bastion of liberalism. So I had no chance. I was a liberal. I was way out there. And then I did something that liberals are never supposed to do. I listened to a conservative. I listened to Ronald Reagan. And I said, you know, he doesn't sound like a horrible racist person. He sounds just like my mother. And at that point, I started thinking for myself. And that made a big difference. It made a big difference in my medical career, too. I didn't do what everybody else did. I always started thinking out of the box. How do you solve this problem? And that's the reason that God gave us these complex brains. Your brain has billions and billions of neurons, hundreds of billions of interconnections. It remembers everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever heard. It can process more than 2 million bits of information in 1 second. Would God give you something like that just so that you can be a sheep and follow what somebody else tells you to do? Or to think for yourself? And, you know, don't you find it fascinating that so many people say the president's a racist. He's a horrible racist and everything he does. Well, you know, it seems to me like some years ago, Jesse Jackson actually gave the president an award in New York City because he opened so many opportunities for black people. Is that what a racist does? And then when he moved to Palm Beach, he was right on the forefront to fighting the clubs who were not admitting Jews and blacks. Does that sound like what a racist would do? He is the one who finally got the Second Chance Act done. Does that sound like what a racist would do? When he took office, he brought the office of HBCUs to the White House so it could get appropriate attention, more money than ever. Opportunity zones so that people could take this money and direct it to the places where people did not have opportunities before. An economy where you have the lowest unemployment rates for black people in history. And it goes on and on and on. Let me tell you something. If he's a racist, he's an awfully bad one. He needs to go get a lesson from the real racists. The people who look at somebody like you and me and they say, because your skin is a certain color, you have to think a certain way. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. And they start calling you names. Those are the real racists. But you know, the president believes that a rising tide lifts all boats. He doesn't believe in identity politics, and that's why he's doing things that work for everybody. And we should be happy about that. And the media, they like to pick on him, any little thing. You know, he's not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. The only one who ever was perfect was Jesus, and they crucified him. So, you know, think about this. And we need to just look at the big picture. Think about all the incredible things that are happening. Think for ourselves and be missionaries. Go out and talk to your family, talk to your friends, help them to realize, because see, if all they're doing is looking at certain media, they don't even know about these things that we just talked about that he has done. And so they can perpetrate this horrible image of him being a bad person. It is absolutely not true. I work with him all the time. He's a wonderful person. He's become a good friend. You remember during the campaign when we were having a debate and I couldn't hear my name. I came out, I stood there, I was waiting to hear everybody else gleefully walk past. He was the only one who stood with me until they straightened it out. That's the kind of person that our president is. He is my friend, and he will be your friend as you get to know him. Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th president of the United States, Donald J.
Or make them
Trump.
believe there's no hope. Make them believe they're the victim. Did you catch that? That's the playbook. Ben Carson is straight up exposing their mechanism of control. He's calling out how the modern liberal establishment, the one Ilhan Omar champions, keeps people angry and helpless. Because if you're helpless, you need the government to swoop in and save you. You need them, and here's where the Ilhan Omars of the world get it so horribly wrong. Come on, Ilhan has this deep-seated, blinding hatred for Donald Trump. We all see it. It's Trump derangement syndrome on steroids, and that hatred has completely clouded her judgment. She looks at a man like Ben Carson, brilliant, gentle, thoughtful, and because he stands with Trump, she writes him off, attacks him. Why? Because he scares the hell out of her. Ben Carson represents the one thing the far left can't control, a man who stared down his circumstances growing up in Detroit, a liberal stronghold, as he called it, and realized the system wasn't working. He realized the government isn't your daddy. The promises from the left, empty. He said he changed 35 years ago. He woke up. When you listen to Ilhan Omar, it's always division, always us versus them, always how America's fundamentally broken and racist. But then Carson speaks, and his unity through independence, refusing to be a field slave managed by the elites. The reason Ilhan Omar and the squad attacked this administration, and men like Carson, so viciously is they have no answer for his success. They can't explain him away. If America is so terrible, how does a poor kid from Detroit become the world's top brain surgeon and a cabinet secretary? Their narrative crumbles the second Ben Carson opens his mouth. So instead of listening, they hate. Her hatred for Trump is so thick she'd rather tear down a successful black role model than admit, maybe, just maybe, conservative policies actually lift people up. Carson is right. He left the plantation 35 years ago.